Welcome, welcome. And the Magic Cats, Chapter 4, Neighbours Come to Tea. Are you all sitting comfortably and ready for a little bit of an adventure? Elette, where's the toilet, please? I whispered, standing extremely close to her so Elf Boy couldn't hear. Go out of the front door, turn left, and follow the stone path. This will lead you into the forest. Look out for a tall, green wooden shack. That's our loo, she replied in a normal voice. And mind's the snow, it can be very slippery. Gustav overheard us. I didn't want Elf Boy to hear me. Fiddle orcs. He was way too cool. I followed Elette's instructions, walking as quickly as my legs would go. I didn't care if it was slippery. A colour appeared underfoot. I was standing on an ice blue stone. I waited a moment, then stepped forward onto the next, which turned into peppermint green. Wow! As I carefully stepped on the stone in front of me, crystal pink sparkled, and then a lilac frost glistened in the light. Wow! Fiddle magic! The stepping stones lit up, leading me further away from the log cabin, deeper into the forest. My winter boots were holding their grip. Each inward breath of winter air hit the back of my throat, shooting directly down into my lungs. All I could hear was my own heavy breathing. I felt giddy. Hurry, hurry! I suddenly felt a pair of eyes watching me. Frightened, I dare not look behind me. At last I giggled, letting out a huge sigh of relief and tears at the sight of the green shed. I shivered. Tears were welling up. Oh, fiddle widdle, I cried. Once inside the green loo, above my head, a spider hovered close to my hair, a web dangling in front of me. The door creaked open, determined not to close. It was never going to shut. What was I to do? I couldn't wait. I closed my eyes, sat sideways, and took a deep breath. I was about to leave. I was suddenly startled by a noise. Crunch! Crack! Another crack! I felt my heart pulse thumping. Da-dum, da-dum, da-dum. I sensed something or someone was getting nearer. I shuddered. It was getting closer. Oh, and closer until, who was here? I tried to get a glimpse through the open door. My eyes darted side to side, left to right and back again. My mouth went dry and then, I could hardly believe what I was seeing. Standing in front of me, an incredible, majestic deer appeared. Her beautiful brown eyes fixed straight on me. A light flurry of all the pastel colour snowflakes fell around us. Birds began chirping. I knew no harm would come to me. My whole body relaxed. Oh, thank goodness. You frightened me, you silly dear, I reacted. Hello, you must be Lexi. Sorry to have frightened you, she said in a low, gentle tone, calming me down immediately. As I am walking about in this enchanted place, I wanted to officially introduce myself. I am the keeper of the forest. My name is Kiara, said the deer. Yes, I am visiting my cousin Elette, I replied. Ah, you must be joining us for the secret magic journey, she said. What secret magic journey? I asked. Not told you? Well, it will soon be revealed to you, my child. I nurture and take care of all the animals and children who visit this forest. And children like you, Lexi, with unexplained shyness, can visit here to discover their own inner wisdom, she said. And with that, she turned away and vanished into a wand of magic light. I couldn't wait to tell everyone what had just happened. I skipped through the snow with such excitement. I then decided to walk instead after a wobbly, half slip. I managed my way back to the old wooden cabin. Elette, guess what? What? Are you all right, Lexi? Asked Mum. The cats all sat up to hear the news. Oh, you met Kiara, Elette knew. She watches over all of us in the forest. You'll find out more about her when you meet her again. When will that be? I asked. Soon, Lexi, soon. I wondered, maybe she could fly like a unicorn. Maybe she could make my wish come true. My attention turned to the cats. We were gradually getting to know one another, Queenie being my favourite, then Ginger, then Tinky, and not so much Teddy. And I hadn't met the quantum cat yet. Ginger cuddled up next to me, his soft fur brushed up against my arm, pushing his head into my side. We were making good friends. Cupping both hands together. Have you ever seen a fairy? I asked. He purred. Together we held hand and paw, watching from behind the glass window, from inside the warmth of the old wooden cabin. Suddenly lights appeared. Tiny blue and purple sparkles emerged dancing in the outside air amongst the trees, the white of the snow reflecting the bright colours. They were heading closer and closer towards us. Can you see? Over there. Are they real fairies, Ginger? I was about to call Mother. We were sharply interrupted by a loud knock, knock, knockety knock at the front door. Oh no, I wanted to cry. The fairy lights disappeared out of sight. My shoulders dropped, my mouth joining in on the disappointment. It felt horrible. The fairies had flown away. Ginger responded by lightly tapping his paw on the tip of my nose. That tickles, Ginger, I giggled. He spun round, swishing his tail under my chin. My smile came back to life. Hugging him made me feel so much better. Who could that be? Elette squealed with delight. She recognised that knock. She wiped her hands on a bright yellow tea towel as she made her way across the room to answer the door. Laughter and a deep, raucous voice boomed through the cabin, shaking every bottle on the shelves. "Hello, girl. How are you today? I'm looking forward to tasting your soup. It smells good." Woo-hoo-hoo! Woo! What was that? The sound surprised Mother so much she dropped her glass. It didn't break, but lemon juice filled the grooves in the wooden floor all over the place. A new drink was already in Mum's hand, and the mop and Gustav had cleaned up the mess. Secretly, Ginger and I would not have to abandon our fairy search forever. "Mr. Hoot! Well, come in and meet everyone. Look who's here!" Elette sang in her usual sing-song tone. "Yes, I can hear him loud and clear, Elette. Hello, Grandad," said Gustav, who was now busy preparing the food in the kitchen. "This is Grandad Eric, and this is Mr. Hoot, Lexi." Elette gracefully held out her arm in a wide gesture, presenting her guests. And here is Mr. Hoot. A cheerful face floated in my direction, peering down at me, attached to a pair of round glasses propped on the end of a big red cold nose and rosy cheeks. "Now who is this, may I ask?" he bellowed out from under his big white beard, which flickered up and down like a furry, fluffy white cat as he spoke. "Oh, he looks like Father Christmas's brother," I thought, "and he smelt of Christmas pudding." Mum and I are here to visit Elette. I am her cousin," I answered in a shaky voice. Gustav smiled across the room, reassuring me. "He won't bite, Lexi." "Woo, Mr. Hoot." "Ah, well then, young lady, you will indeed have a wonderful time in the forest during your stay." He patted me on the head. I wasn't one of his treasured pets. "We'll make sure of that," he said, turning his head to Mr. Hoot, who is sitting on his shoulder. "Won't we, Mr. Hoot?" He, too, got a pat on the head. "Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo!" Mr. Hoot nodded in agreement. "You can stroke him," said Gustav, who was watching. I pulled my hand back, then put it forward lightly, touching his feather wing. Mr. Hoot shivered and shook out his wing. "Yes, just here. Mr. Hoot likes a tickle. No need to be scared of him." "Lexi, this is the bird I was talking about earlier," Gustav interrupted. "Look at his head a little closer. Look here," he pointed. "You can do it if you're willing to," he said. "Come." He held my hand and guided my fingertips. I felt a wave of excitement ripple in my chest. "See, he has a star shape." I nodded. "Congratulations, Lexi, darling, you did it," clapped Mother, turning around to look at Elette and Gustav. "Oh. Where's Gub-Gub today?" chirped Elette, joining in, rubbing Mr. Hoot's tummy. "Gub-Gub? Who's Gub-Gub?" Mother asked. She stood back a little. She wasn't too fond of birds. They messed up her hair, or even worse. "Gub-Gub's been rather a rascal, mind you," came the answer from Grandad, huffing and puffing on his way down into his seat, sinking heavily, bending the shape of the chair underneath. Creak, poof, oof, it groaned. I believe his breed is called an Anglian saddleback pig, added Elette. Oh, he's a pig, Mother exclaimed. Yes, they're a naughty lot. Grandad ignored Mum's look of horror. He gets his snout into all sorts of trouble. Grandad was shaking his head. He caused havoc at Whistle Cabin this morning, he coughed, followed by an unexpected roar. The cats and I were fixed on his ball-shaped belly. We watched it shake from beneath his deep red-coloured waistcoat, followed by a ping. A button went flying off in the direction of the cats. You want tea? Asked Gustav. Ah, tea that makes you wee, he roared with laughter. Pass it over, there's a good man. Now where was I? He said, scratching his head. He was thinking while gulping his tea with gusto. Gub-Gub, said Elette. Ah, yes. Back to Gub-Gub. In fact, Lexi, let me tell you, he's been so naughty today, grunted Grandad with his storytelling, that I told him he had to stay behind and clean up his room. Woo-hoo! Woo-hoo! Chuffed and hiccuped Mr. Hoot. Did you hear Mr. Hoot? I asked, startled, not quite believing it myself, forgetting all about my shyness. Gustav was aware of my sudden outburst. Hear what? Asked Mother, looking around. He hiccuped. An owl with hiccups? I answered, hoping he did actually hiccup. Ah, that tells me something, said Grandad. Gub-Gub is up to no good. Again. Grandad looked at me directly, clearing his throat. Lexi, you see, Mr. Hoot does hiccup, replied Grandad. He's a very special owl. He's not like any old owl. Oh, no. He's highly sensitive to energy waves, electromagnetic, the faintest whispers he can hear. We were all listening, waiting, poised to hear what was coming next. He can immediately detect if Gub-Gub has been misbehaving. He could be flying anywhere in the world. Grandad's arms flew up in the air, imitating the flight of a bird, and his radar could still pick him up. Whenever Mr. Hoot hiccups, I know immediately that Gub-Gub has been meddling. Adding to which, Gub-Gub broke his own glasses yesterday. He rolled over and squashed them. Wow, that's quite something, Mother responded. Oh dear, frowned Elette, her mouth pouting sadly downwards. We'll have to get him a new pair of piggy glasses. Well, only if he behaves himself. I know now he's up to something naughty, thanks to Mr. Hoot. He must be munching on the snacks of acorns I left out for him. Lunch is ready, everyone. Wash hands, please, Lexi, Mother said, moisturising her hands. Good, 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 man, I'm starving, he said to the rhythm of a rat-a-tat-tat, swiftly patting Gustav on the back, almost choking him on the wooden spoon while tasting the boiling hot soup. Poor elf boy, I thought. Outside, the wind was picking up, blowing and howling around the cabin. Ah, the wind is up, said Grandad. Mr. Hoot is leaving us soon. He's flying up to the mountains. It's time once more. Time for what? I inquired, without any hesitation. What's so special, Grandad? Can you tell Lexi? Asked Gustav. Mr. Hoot follows the magnetic grid of the earth to collect magic dust from the mountains. And when he hears me blow my whistle, he then returns, explained Grandad. I'm sure Grandad will tell you more about it when Mr. Hoot gets back, said Elette. My jaw opened wide, my eyes got bigger as I stared at Grandad. He gobbled up his soup very quickly. He'd finished before everyone else. Not one word was uttered from our magical gathering of my new, unusual friends. I covered my mouth with the side of my hand and whispered to Mum, "Where's the quantum cat?" "Everywhere," chuckled a voice in my ear, making me jump. "Oh!" "Blinky will show herself to you soon, when the moment is matched to her frequency," answered Elette. "Oh, fiddle quantum." "Another helping, good of you to offer. The soup was superb," said Grandad, holding his plate up in the air like a flying saucer. Nobody had actually offered him. Mother perked up, feeling a little embarrassed of his behaviour. "Thank you, Gustav, that was delicious." She gracefully wiped her fingers on her napkin, folding it into a perfect rectangle shape, placing it on her knees. Grandad finished the lot from both soup pots. Thanks everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll be marching on to chapter 5. And sweet dreams. Bye bye.